If you have a web hosting account or online storage space, you'll need a way to transfer files between your local computer and the remote server. To do this, you'll want to make use of File Transfer Protocol, which is also known as FTP. Windows has built-in FTP capability. You may be familiar with it, and I'll briefly demonstrate it for you. If you open up My Network Places, and then say Add a Network Place, you can go through this wizard and tell it it's an FTP site. Here you'll want to put in the host name or IP address of the FTP server you're connecting to. And with Windows FTP, you need to prefix this address with FTP://. And click Next. You'll want to uncheck Log On Anonymously if you have a username that you need to use. And click Next again. And give it a name. It uses the host name by default. So I'll click Next and Finish. And now you have a new icon in your My Network Places for that remote site we just created. And if you double click it, it'll prompt you for your password, which you can put in there. You can tell it to save your password. I only recommend doing this if you're on a non-public or non-shared computer. And even on your personal computer, sometimes it's best just not to save the passwords. But you can click Log On, and it's going to display the folders and files on the remote server. Now here I have a local folder open. This is my USB flash drive. This could be your My Documents, it could be your C drive, some area on your local computer. And we can just drag and drop files or folders between the two. And going from local to remote, it's going to upload the files using FTP. And if I were to drag it the other direction, obviously it would be downloading the files. Now you can also delete things off the remote server, but when you do this you need to be careful because it's not going to place this in your recycle bin. It's just going to remove it from the remote server. So you do need to take care and pay attention to what you're deleting and make sure that you really want to get rid of it. One problem with Windows FTP, the built-in Windows FTP client, is that it's insecure. When it sends your username and password to the FTP server, it's sent in plain text across the internet. The data you transfer is also unencrypted. To use FTP securely, what you need is an FTP client that has more features and more support for security protocols. A good FTP client that I recommend is FileZilla. It's free. It has tons of features. And if you go to Google, type in FileZilla, perhaps hit I'm feeling lucky, you'll arrive at the FileZilla homepage where you can download the FileZilla client. I'm going to choose the Windows version. I'll let it save to my desktop, and we'll go ahead and run the installer. And I'll step through this, and just using the default options, I'll get FileZilla installed. And it says start FileZilla now, and I'll go ahead and click Finish. And once you have FileZilla open, you're going to want to click on the Site Manager icon at the top left. And you'll want to say New Site. Give your site a name. On the right side, you need to put in the domain name or the IP address of your server. If you leave the port blank, it's going to use the default value of 21, which is fine for most servers. Here you'll want to change the logon type to normal so that you can provide a username and password. And we'll say OK. And next to the Site Manager icon is a little arrow. If you click this, it has a list of your sites that you've created. And I'll click the one we just made. And it logged me in, and I can see the remote folders and files. On the left side is my local folders and files, and I can drag between the two to upload or download. Same story here. If you delete something, it will not go in your recycle bin. It just removes it from the remote server. So you need to be careful what you click on and what you delete. You may be wondering, well, how do I know this is secure? Well, this session is not, and I'll show you why. If we go back to the Site Manager, you may have seen a pull down here that says server type. Right now it's using FTP, Normal File Transfer Protocol. You can change this if your remote server supports it. You can change this to FTP-ES, or FTP over explicit TLS. It uses an SSL certificate, much the same way that your online banking sites and e-store sites use to encrypt data between your local computer and the server. So we'll select this and we'll say OK to save it. And from my pull down list again, I'm going to connect to this, and I'll tell it to abort my previous connection. And now the first thing you're going to notice is that it pops up and wants me to verify the certificate. This is the SSL certificate that the FTP server is presenting to me. I trust the server I'm connecting to. I'm sure of the host name I provided, so I'm going to trust the certificate. And if you'd like, you can check this checkbox to have it always trust the certificate. So if you restart FileZilla, you won't have to answer to this dialog again. For right now, I'm just going to click OK. And as you can see, we reconnected, and I can see the remote list of folders and files. Again, using FTP with TLS is better than standard FTP because your username and password is not sent in plain text, and the data that you transfer is encrypted. This provides for more secure file uploads and downloads. If you're curious about FileZilla in general, I'd encourage you to go to the FileZilla project homepage, check out the documentation, and they have good forums and a good user community on that site that can help answer any questions you might have. FileZilla is packed with features, and it's not the only FTP client software out there that can handle FTP with TLS. So I'd recommend that you do a little research and move away from Windows built-in FTP if possible. And if your remote server supports TLS, use that.